celebrating 20 years of possibility.
I'm Steve Hamer, and I believe that anything is possible.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. Of course, these are great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. This is part 2 of my interview with Steve Hamer. Now we're at the University of Tennessee. Thank you for consenting to continue this journey. Wow, episode 1 was powerful, emotional. When you left, what did you leave feeling?
A sense of relief. In that it's not easy to be transparent. It's not easy to let people see your guard down and know that we all have struggles. We all go through hills, but we also go through those valleys. You know, my pastor told me once that when going through problems, you're not going through a valley, you're just changing mountain peaks. And that has resonated with me for a long time. But telling the first part of my story with losing our home and working at Waffle House, that wasn't easy. But I think if the truth be told, if it positively affects someone else, then that trial served its purpose in my life.
I'll tell you what I left feeling. I was proud of you. Because it takes a lot of courage to show up and to be vulnerable. But I have massive respect. And like I said, we all have rock bottoms, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial. If you've ever hit rock bottom, you know, I have. I just have this profound respect for people who are willing to do whatever it takes because they love that hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're willing to do the hard thing.
Yeah.
So I walked away, I was like, man, I got respect for your courage to be transparent.
Yeah.
But also the courage that it takes to go, I'm gonna make it, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
We are here in the Peyton Manning room on the University of Tennessee campus, and this is where you work now. I wanted to talk more about this part of your journey, but let's talk about what this institution and being here at the University of Tennessee meant to you and what it means to you.
It's a great question. I love this place with an undying love because how it poured so much into me. Obviously, I played on the highest stage here at the University of Tennessee and was mentored by Wade Houston, who I know that you have profound respect for.
Absolutely.
And admiration for what he dealt with. So coming to play here for him was absolutely fantastic because I learned and evolved as a basketball player, but much more than that as a human being. Yep. He taught me life lessons. And those life lessons still carry on and have helped me in the maturation process for the rest of my life. So then you add on to that, I've got a world-class education here as well.
What did you study?
Communications. Communications. You know, I've always wanted to sit courtside and to be a color analyst, right? You know, from the time that I could remember, man, thinking Dick Vitale, is there a better job?
Right,
to talk about the game that you love and you get paid for. Oh, baby. I mean, you know, it's just absolutely, you know, the diaper dandies. So that was fantastic. But to be able to have a world-class education here and people, even though I'm many, many years removed, people still remember me, and that means a great deal to me and my wife and my children. Not only how because of my athletic prowess, but people remember me. I had someone tell me just last night, I remember how kind you were to me when you were a sophomore. You didn't have to stand and talk to me, but you did. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way. Right. I say that we have to be kind to each other. And when you are kind to one another, it will come back to you 5, 10, 20, 400-fold. And people years from now will remember that. And that means a great deal to me. So now to work for this institution, it doesn't get any better. Doesn't get any better.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel.
All right, let's get specific. I want you to tell me about a game or the game you remember playing in that is your moment. It's the moment where you felt most alive. You felt like, oh man, it's all coming together.
Yeah. And that moment took place in the opening round of the 1996 SEC men's tournament. But even leading up to that, the practices, I remember those were the toughest practices of my life. We had this drill, it was called a deep six, and everybody had to make the deep six, and it was going 94 feet back and forth. You had to do that, 3 full times in 30 seconds. And if you didn't do it, everybody redid it.
Oh, wow.
And me, I'm 7 feet tall. I don't even dream fast, Hal. In my dreams, I'm slow. So, you got all these guards, they're quick and they're fast. And I remember Coach O'Neill telling everyone, we are going to make this. Everyone's going to make it. And I told him, Coach, we've already done this 8 times, Coach. I can't. Every time that we do it, subsequently, I lose a little bit more steam. And finally, I made it. And I remember thinking, man, I'm gassed, and we got a tournament game day after tomorrow. But fast forward that 48 hours, I played all 40 minutes, and I scored, 32, 33 points, and I set the then, and it may still stand, tournament record for rebounds. I had 21 rebounds in that game, and I'd never had a game like it. But I was in the best shape of my life, and I look back on that and I think, man, had I not run those extra laps, I don't know that I would have been able to do that. So that was the moment, the precipice that set me up for the NBA draft and the year that followed.
What was it like being drafted?
It was an incredible experience. I remember draft night, June 26, 1996, when I heard the deputy commissioner of the NBA step to the podium and say that with the 38th pick of the 1996 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select Steve Hamer. Surrounded by my father on this side and my mother on this side and my brothers. And the first thing I did, Hal, was I cried, just sobbing. And it wasn't tears of joy and happiness. For you see, Hal, it was tears of my whole life. People had told me, you're never gonna make it. I don't like the way you run. I don't like the way you look. Why don't you stay here in this hometown and follow in the footsteps of your parents? Because neither of your parents graduated from high school. They're just sharecroppers, man. You're not gonna make it.
I didn't know your parents were sharecroppers.
Sharecroppers. My father and mother met while picking cotton in North Mississippi. And the story goes that my dad made eyes with my mother, and that began a 71-year marriage. So I cried, thinking, man, I proved all those people wrong. The people that had no vested interest in me, that didn't care in me, all they wanted to was pour negativity into my life. You're not gonna make it. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. I'm a living testament that with God, anything is possible.
Wow.
Anything.
Wow. Mom and Dad are there. What did they say?
Immediately, they said, why are you crying? Lift your head up. Look at what you've done. Look at what you've accomplished. My brothers, they say, man, you beat the odds. The odds, Halloran, of a kid coming from a town of 330 people making it to the NBA is less than 1%.
Is this Grand Junction?
This is Grand Junction, Tennessee, man. Less than 1%. And you beat the odds. And I remember thinking, yeah, I know I beat the odds, but I also beat something too. And that was the fact that I overcame that adversity that fueled me for so long. It burned inside of me. I never forget those voices going on the road in high school. I weighed 218 pounds, 7-foot tall guy. Man, people just were relentless, calling me names and all of this. And all of that was stored away. So in that moment, boom, of elation, it all came out. And there I was, just raw. And again, thinking I'd play for forever, but God had other plans.
But now you're back at the University of Tennessee. We talked in our last episode, and if you didn't see it, go check it out on YouTube. It's really powerful. Now you're back at the University of Tennessee. Let's talk about your life here forward. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to make note of one thing. Mr. Bertelkamp, we're not trying to run you off, but I see somebody warming up. And I heard you got to fill in a time or two.
I did.
You ate it up too, didn't you?
Oh, I loved it.
You ate it up, didn't you?
Loved it.
We're not trying to, look, money. We believe in you. Yes. We love you.
Yes.
We support you.
Yes.
But the young man is warming up over here. Let's talk about what you're doing now in your life going forward. And have you thought about ESPN? Have you thought about other opportunities? Because you're a really great communicator.
I appreciate that, Halloran, more than you know, especially coming from you. That means a great deal. And, I think I've gotten to the point, Halloran, where wherever God takes me is where I'm going to be. And doors have opened up tremendously for me since I've been back on campus. December 16, 2019, I signed that letter of employment, and doors have opened up. And I've done games for the Sports Animal here in town, the local radio station that carries the Vol Radio Network, and I've done SEC Network games now, and I love it. My day job affords me the opportunity to travel with the men and to commentate on games and do things of that nature. So it's a blast. And if that carries me to ESPN, if it's in God's will, I'm going to do it. Because I love it. I'm a talker.
Look at you, man. Look at you. You are lit up. Let's talk about your day job, though.
Yeah. So my day job, I am charged with being a major gift officer here in the athletic department. So that's my day job, is to travel throughout the state, throughout the Southeast, a little bit in the Northeast as well, and raise money for our 550 student athletes, as well as all across our 20 varsity sports. And as of just a couple of weeks ago, I was offered the position of Director of Letter Winner Relations.
Wow.
That's just a clever colloquialism for, hey, you're gonna establish our VFL. You're gonna operate and run that. And now that gives me a chance to re-engage a lot of our letter winners, letter men, letter women, and bring them back to campus, build that rapport, build that bridge, and let us thrive together, because we're one Tennessee. So we're gonna bring all these people back, man. And I'm just so elated.
Outside of work, I know you have a passion for ministry and for helping people. Talk a little bit about that.
Deep passion. We are here to serve and not to be served, right? We are here for a purpose, and everyone needs to know when you're at your deepest depth that you have a purpose. There is a reason for you being here, and there's a reason for that trial, because without a test, you can't have that testimony. We know that. You can't have that testimony. So I love to serve. I love it. I love to serve, because when you serve, you in turn grow.
Yep.
And we're not talking financially. We're not talking any of that, but you grow spiritually. And God has afforded me the opportunity to go and speak at many different churches and tell them that you can make it. Again, I'm living proof that you
embodiment of
can make it. I'm the embodiment of it. I look back, and we talked about this, Hal, but I look back at those days in the Waffle House at 2:30 in the morning. I'm flipping hash browns thinking, this is not what I signed up for, but this is what God gave me. And, we as humans, we want to live, it's like a sandwich. That top piece of bread is yesterday.
Right.
Either we live in yesterday's regrets or yesterday's mistakes.
Right.
Or that bottom piece of bread, we live in fear of tomorrow, dread of tomorrow, when in reality, we just need to concentrate on what God has given us right now.
Right here, right now.
We don't need to see down the road. We don't need to see what's going on. We don't need to know what tomorrow holds, as long as we know who holds tomorrow.
That's strong. That's strong. Your kids in sports, are they athletes?
Yes and no. My 20-year-old, who is a sophomore here in college, the only reason she played any sports is because we made her play sports. At Apostolic Christian School, it's a small private Christian school, and we need our kids to play. And she played reluctantly, but you see, she had a coach that was very, very hard on her, and that coach was her dad, and that kind of pushed her away from sports. And now she's going into law. My youngest daughter, we don't know yet. We don't know. She's supposed to be 6 feet tall, but we don't know. Now my son is everything basketball. He's everything. He's all about
really?
it. He's all about it.
Is he good?
Better than Dad was at that age. I can promise you that. Dad just got the height.
Yeah. So does he want to go all the way with that?
I think he does. But I will say this, his personality is much more like his mother's, whereas Haller and I have always been up here when we're winning, and then we lose a game, man, I'm down in the dumps. Where he is just steady. He's just like his mother, nothing affects him. They just go about their business.
Steady.
He's steady.
Talk about your wife.
My wife is a rock. She's a rock. She has seen me through the highs and through the lows.
It's interesting that you would bring that up. I was speaking to a class here at UT, and I was talking about rock bottom, right? Mm-hmm. We all hit those rock bottoms, and I like to say rock bottom is when you've fallen so far there's nowhere left to fall, or when the hole is so deep you can't move any more dirt because the dirt stopped moving, right? And when you are there, it is a great sorting mechanism.
Yeah.
Because you figure out who loves you.
Yes.
And the people that choose to love you at your lowest love you the best.
That's right.
And I guess that's maybe what you're saying about your relationship with your wife. If you can love me here.
Yeah.
Because that's a choice.
Yes. The day that we had to move out of our home, I was in such a bad place. I think pride got in my way too. I'm not going to reach out to anybody because I don't want anybody to know that I lost my house.
Right.
People see Steve Hamer, the basketball player, like, man, you got everything going for you. Man, it's great. But behind the scenes, you suffer in silence. And we went through that alone. We didn't tell any of our friends until the very last second. But going through that day, I remember my wife telling me, she almost switched roles in that she would come to me in the days leading up to that and say, what are we gonna do? And I would, we're gonna be all right. And that day she said, hey, we're gonna be all right. Let's fix our faces. Let's move forward. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's move forward. And I remember thinking, my wife's got my back. She's got my back. And if she can see me at my lowest point, well, honey, we're going to enjoy the ride back up the escalator. We're going to enjoy it. Because if God took me to it, he's going to take me through it.
I think you got a preaching spirit on you, Doc.
Come on, man. Come on.
I see something emerging, something bubbling up. What's the recipe for possibility?
I think you have to have certain ingredients, right? I think you have to have an unfailing faith and belief in God. It's got to be unflappable. Because even, again, at our lowest points, God still cares for you. He still calls you friend. And when you have that unflappable faith in God, that sets you up. And then 2, you got to be willing to do what God tells you to do. I like to look at our lives like the headlights of a car. We are only meant to see so far in advance.
Yeah, I heard this old proverb, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll see further.
That's right.
And that old hymn said, trust and obey.
Trust and obey.
Well,
trust and obey.
Steve Hamer, thanks for letting us be on your campus and sharing possibility with you. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Halloran. Thank you. I love you, my friend, and thankful for this opportunity.